This story is called The Girl Who Wants to Know. Aital wants to play with her baby brother, but he's sleeping upstairs. Aital wants to talk to Mum, but she's in the sunny back garden, a scarf over her face and her legs stretched in front of her. Mum doesn't want to do anything. She doesn't want to know. Aital feels alone. Inside the house, it is quiet. It is too quiet. Then into the quiet comes a thud, thud. Was it the chair falling over in the next room? She closes her eyes and sees a chair in her mind lying on the ground. It must be the chair. But why would a chair fall over by itself? Aital's a bit nervous, but she wants to know. She goes slowly to the door of the lounge. She scrunches her eyes and peeks. But what she thought she saw wasn't true. The chair is still standing. The thudding gets louder. It's not the chair. What else could it be? Maybe Bob's the cat, knocking things over on the kitchen windowsill. She closes her eyes and now she can see Bob's the cat, his tail swishing as he steps over pots of flowers and herbs. Mostly Aital loves the cat, but he is a bit strange sometimes. She feels frightened when he stares and jumps up so suddenly, and he can scratch. Yes, it must be the naughty cat. Ba-boom, ba-boom, the cat is in the room. But Aital wants to know for sure. She finds her courage by taking a breath. It makes her brave enough to tiptoe to the door of the kitchen. She scrunches one eye like a wink. 1, 2, 3, and... oh, it wasn't true. Bob's the cat is curled in a soft ball on the floor by the oven, and the plants are perfectly in place on the windowsill. So it's not the chair, and it's not Bob's. But there it is again. Ba-boom! All around her the thudding getting louder. What in the world can it be? Aital closes her eyes, and this time she sees a bad robber creeping round upstairs in big, big boots looking for things to steal. Yes, it must be the bad robber. Ba-boom! Beware the robber on the stairs. She must hide. Wait, no, she should get Mum from the garden. Wait, no, she must get her little brother. Wait, no, but first she wants to see where this robber is and what he is doing. She picks up the wooden cooking spoon to wave around and keep the robber away when he jumps out. It feels so scary, but she wants to know for sure. Aital needs her courage. She takes a breath and whispers to herself, "Be brave." Up the stairs on tippy toes. 1 step, 2 step, 3 steps, 4. She stops. The thumping's even louder and closer. She starts again. 5 steps, 6 steps, 7. She holds the spoon tight in front of her like a sword. 8, 9, 10. She is at the top of the stairs. She opens her eyes wide. There is no one at the top of the stairs. It's not the chair, not Bob's the cat, and no bad robber. She was so sure, and it wasn't true. She will go back down the stairs. She will tell Mum, and Mum will hug Aital and come and look for the noise, and at last Aital will feel safe. The thuds grow quieter. It's going away. Oh, now Mum won't believe her, and Aital will never find out what it was. The house is quiet again. Too quiet. And as she puts her foot on the top step, there it is again. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. Like a faraway giant, like a dinosaur on a mountain, like a dragon beating its wings, like a terrible monster with a horrible drum. She can see it now, grinning fiercely and banging around. It must be. She is too scared to move. It's all she can hear. She remembers the dark space under her bed. She remembers the empty place at the back of her wardrobe, the lumpy shape behind her door. It was in her bedroom all along. And now she can see this awful monster growing bigger with red eyes. She knows it's been hiding there, and now it is angry and it wants to eat them all. Ba-boom, ba-boom, there's something in her room, but she has to know for sure if it's true. She has to go and look. And now she's in her room, and she's turning on the light, and she's looking around. Under the bed, No. But she really has to know. She puts down the spoon and picks up a shoe to throw it at the monster. She pulls open the wardrobe door really quickly and the clothes wing about. There's nothing at the back of the wardrobe. Nothing. But baboom, baboom, there is something in my room. The last place is behind the door. She pulls the door back and she sees nothing. Just her dressing gown hanging up in a very normal way. Baboom, baboom, there's something in my room. It's not the chair, it's not the cat, it's not a robber or a monster. But what is that? She wants to know. She wants to cry. She sits down on the floor. How can she find out? She's been so very brave. She went to all the places, looking for all the things that scare her the most, ready to run, ready to fight. But something is wrong, and it's not right. What is that sound? She looks all around and it doesn't go away. She closes her eyes and it doesn't go away. She drops her shoe and covers her ears with her hands. But that just makes the sound louder. Huh? She takes her hands away from her ears. She sits very still. She listens. She puts her hands back over her ears. Louder, louder, louder the thudding gets. Now she can feel it. Baboom, baboom, bumping and thumping in rhythm. Oh! Baboom, baboom, there is nothing in the room. Oh, it's in here. She feels it in her chest, banging like it's trying to get out. Baboom, baboom, her heart. She puts one hand on her chest and she feels it beating so loud and strong. And when she listens with her hand on her chest, staying so very still, it gets quieter and quieter and slower and softer until, after a while, she has to listen very hard to hear it at all. It feels like a gentle clock tick-tocking or rain on the window. And now she can feel her own breath and hear it like a soft wind. Aital closes her eyes and this time she sees the clock and the rain and a breeze blowing in from the window, making the dressing gown flutter again. And when she thinks of the empty chair and the staring cat and the bad robber and the angry monster all crashing and bumping around the house, it makes her giggle. It was a good story. And when she opens her eyes, Bobs is by her side, rubbing at her knees, purring like the beat of her heart.
Druv's Magical Lands. Druv was sat in his treehouse, outside in his garden. He could hear his bossy big sister Grusha still screaming and crying because she wanted to eat sweets and Mummy had said no. Druv could not understand why his sister was making such a big fuss. "We eat eggs. Why can't we eat these sweets?" Grusha demanded. Mummy explained. "These sweets have beef in them, Grusha. Hindus don't eat cows. The divine being Krishna said so." Grusha wailed. "Well, why just say cows? Mummy, you're confusing me." Grusha, just listen, or you won't get your star today," said Mummy miserably. She didn't know how to fix this problem. Druv wanted to help his mum solve this, and he knew just where to go. "It's time to ride my bike," he thought. Druv got on his bike and went to a special path he had made in the garden. He went faster and faster and thought really hard about how to fix this problem. Suddenly, sparks started to rocket out of his wheels and a spectrum of coloured waves dazzled his eyes. Whoosh! He fell and went back in time. Druv had arrived at his favourite place, the magical lands. This time he had arrived in the village Gogol, in a field filled with baby little calves. There he saw his best friend little Govind, who was playing ball outside with his friends. Little Govind was very cheeky, but he knew how to make Druv laugh. He was also very cool, because he knew when to be smart and brave too. They both ran to each other, but then noticed a baby calf crying. It was tied up and looked very hungry. This is a problem. Let's solve it, said little Govind with a cheeky smile. He looked around and he untied the calf. The calf ran to its mummy cow and drank her special milk, glub, 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 and the mummy cow mooed. Just like that, Druv helped little Govind untie all the little calves. Little Govind's mummy Yashoda was the sweetest lady in the village. She was inside churning milk into butter. On hearing the noises, Mummy Yashoda and the villagers appeared and saw little Govind smiling and waving the rope. Oh, this cheeky boy, again? What have you done now? King Gunts needs to get his milk, and if he doesn't get it, he'll take all of our cows. Oh, the lady screeched. Little Govind smiled and said, Actually, well, I think greedy King Gunts is the problem. Would you like it if he took my milk off me or stole butter from the children? The villagers shook their heads. These cows are mummies too, and their baby calves were crying for milk, just like us children. I just helped them. It's a good job I did, isn't it? The villagers nodded their heads, confused. Come on, Druv, let's play, said little Govind. And off they went to play. They pretended to be monkeys on trees and climbed them. After some time, little Govind pointed to a cloud. He wanted to show Druv the majestic city of Mathura, where greedy King Kunts ruled. The royal bells rang, and a soldier arrived before the king without his milk. How dare they? Right, soldiers, you, and you, go to the village of Gogol and bring back every cow they have. That will teach them to take away my Milky Wilky, because then they won't have their milky. I mean, a strong king like me needs his milk, said King Kunts like a big baby. The soldiers looked puzzled and bowed. Yes, King Kunts, we'll be on our way to get your milky... I mean, all your cows. Your cows. The clouds became grey and grumbly, and Druv jumped up. What shall we do now, Govind? King Gunts is going to take all of the cows. Little Govind stood up and gave a playful smile. He picked up his flute and played some magical music. It made vibrations of energy that only the cows understood. On hearing the music, one by one, the cows left the field they were in and gathered around little Govind and Druv. The cows and baby calves grazed happily on the grass. The clouds cleared and the sun was shining a golden light all around them. When the soldiers came to the village of Gogol, they looked in every field, but the cows were nowhere to be seen. Little Govind was tricking them. The soldiers were now becoming hot and tired. The villagers were scared at first when they saw the soldiers, but then they sighed in relief as they heard the chief soldier say, "This is ridiculous. It's not our job to look after cows. Let's Let's go back to Mathura. The soldiers returned to tell King Kunz they couldn't find the cows. King Kunz was so embarrassed, he boomed, "You couldn't find some cows? Right, that's it. No more Milky Wilky for you, you and you." And he sent the soldiers straight to jail. Meanwhile, the villagers heard little Govind playing his flute and saw him surrounded by birds and animals. Little Govind stopped and spoke to them. "See, King Kunz needs us. He can't have his milk without our help. From now on, the little calves will have their mummy's milk first, then us, and then King Kunz. After all, I don't want King Kunz to not have his Milky Wilky." Dhruv was sitting on the swing, finally with an answer to his problem. As he relaxed listening to the flute, he swung back and forth, back and forth. He soon found himself catapulting forward and spinning around in the air. Whoosh! Dhruv was back on his bike, in his garden, slowing down in a circle. Now, instead of the beautiful flute, he could hear his sister again, Grusha, still fussing and sobbing. "Animals don't have feelings," she cried. He rushed back inside the house and said, "I have a solution." Grusha stopped. Grusha, animals do have feelings. Think, just like you want to eat these sweets so much. Baby calves want to drink their mummy's milk so much. Don't be like King Kunz, Grusha. Don't just eat all the animals. We have to look after them. That's what Govind really said. Grusha looked at him and wondered. And then she put the packet of sweets down. Mummy said, "I'm sorry I confused you, Grusha. Actually, Dhruv is right. Krishna protected all the animals. It's just people forget that, as he was a cowherd. Dhruv, this is why I named you my star. Well done, Dhruv. Well done." That day, Mummy gave Grusha a star for making a good choice, and a big golden star, especially to Dhruv.
This is one of those stories that no one believes, but it happened to me, so I know it's true. And I also know that after you hear this story, you will hear trolls too. It was on a very sunny day, and like most wintry days in England, that I went out to play, on my own with my football. I was kicking it above the flowers, high up towards the sun. I played as usual for hours and hours, until, "Come have your chilies." It was Mum. So I had one last kick, pachoo, right into the bush. Now Mum has called me twice, I better go. My luck I must not push. Mum always says that for every chili pinch, I would grow an inch. And big I want to be, so Mum grew special chilies just for me. I returned to the garden swiftly with my chili, and I went to the bush where my bowl would have been. I looked closely inside it, and you won't believe what my eyes had seen. A turtle in my garden. How could that be? And as quickly as a bird can sing, the turtle climbed me and ate my chili. And before I could even think, I said, "Truls, how silly." And Truls I called the turtle. Don't ask me why, it just came out. Now what will I do with you? That is something to figure out. All I know is that you like chilies, and I guess they're good for you. So every time I have a chili, you could have one too. And much to my surprise, every day that I saw him, Truls would have grown up in size, and his shell would look more and more like a tin. Mum was right. For every chili pinch, you would grow an inch, or 2 or 3. It looked as though these chilies were working better for Truls than they ever worked for me. And on one rainy evening, very much like it is raining now, I heard a melody as the raindrops fell down. It was the most beautiful and hypnotic sound. The closer to the garden I came, the louder the sound became, and as I slid, the door opened. Right there, before my eyes, was Truls. Or rather, not Truls, but his shell. And upon it the raindrops fell. But that was just his shell. Where was he? "Truls, where are you?" I called and called again. "Hello, are you hiding? Okay, I'll count to 10. Suddenly, the sound of metal scraping on the floor. It sounded to me like a rusty old door. And somehow this shell seemed to be moving, but there were no legs to steer it or power it. I grabbed each side of the shell and I lifted it, and underneath it was a little turtle that I knew so well. What happened to Truls? I started investigating. I went to the bush, and there they were, the chilies. Truls had stopped eating, and there he was, as small as I had met him on that first day. You stopped eating your chilies, and that is why you shrank away. So I put Truls back into the bush, and he ate his chilies, and all went back to normal, as he has started growing well. But for some reason, every so often, Truls would shed his steel shell. I take all the shells to the forest, so when it rains, you can hear it too. And now the magic music lives, for me, for the world, and of course, for you.